Denim Couch Podcast. Ooh, whoa, ooh, whoa.
The 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s with Steph with an F.
Hi guys, welcome to the Denim Couch Podcast, where we chill on this denim couch and talk about the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I'm Stephanie Tanner. Welcome. Hey guys, it's Stephanie Tanner with the Denim Couch Podcast. This week's episode is episode number 16 with Laraine. Laraine was so kind to let me interview her. She is from Denver, Colorado, which is one of my favorite places ever. I love Denver so much. It has a very special place in my heart. I met my husband there and I love the environment. It is one of the most gorgeous places I've ever been, second to Montana. Colorado is probably my second favorite state. We miss it a lot. We love to go visit Colorado, and when you kind of drive closer to the mountains, there's a lot of rolling hills and beautiful green grasses and lots of land that doesn't have any housing on it, and that is one of my favorite places. We used to live in Arvada when we were first married, and Glenn's family lives in North Glen, and so they're all the cities are kind of mushed together and all near Denver. There's Arvada, and if you go southwest, you will go to Golden, Colorado, which if you've never been there, you need to go. It is so beautiful. I love Golden. Oh, it's my favorite place. We would go there and just look at the town and eat the best pizza ever. So Golden and North Table Mountain are just incredibly beautiful, and they're closer to the mountains. Oftentimes we would travel up Wadsworth Boulevard and go north, and then you would see these, I think they're just called open space hills. Oh man, they're so beautiful. Oh, I see the butterfly pavilion. Oh man, I have such good memories here. So talking to Laraine just brought back a lot of those memories and how much love I have for Denver and for Colorado. Laraine expresses how much she loves this place and decided to stay in Denver, moving from the East Coast. Yeah, oh, we did so many things here. It's just so beautiful. I also lived in Broomfield, which is really close to the Colorado Hills open space near the Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge. And in Broomfield, I would just run every single day. It was so beautiful. I was near train tracks and lots of open space, and I would just run as far as I could with music. And I think that was one of the times I was most at peace just because of the area I was in. If you go a little further, you'll go to Boulder, which Boulder is just as incredible and beautiful, and you get to go on some fantastic hikes. And Laraine will talk about this soon, but she talks about the 14ers. And if you go to Colorado or know anyone from there, climbing 14ers is a big deal. And a lot of them have it on their list to just climb all of the 14ers. So now that we've told you all about how wonderful Colorado is, and this is just the area that I'm more familiar with, there's my brother-in-law is from Montrose, and I've just heard some wonderful stories about that. I know there's just beautiful cities all around, small mountain towns that are gorgeous. I don't think you can go wrong there. One thing that Laraine talks about in her interview is the difference between now and then, and the fact that they did have a more peaceful generation because they had like 3 channels on the TV, and that was the only media alongside the newspaper that they ever read. And so they weren't feeling the burden of the world on them. I really liked that she said that, because I've been trying this week. I think as I get older, I notice what brings me happiness, what makes me feel irritated or what makes me feel stressed. And I'm starting to notice all those factors and the things that kind of bring more stress and tension into my life. What I've been working on doing is, if I'm watching something or reading something or viewing something that is bringing a little more stress into my life, I'm trying to just stop it and then move on to something else. So for example, I was watching this TV show, which will remain unnamed, that I found interesting and I liked it. And I got through the first season. Of course, there were some elements of it that kind of stressed me out a bit or didn't make me feel the best. Just things that I didn't really need to see. I'm actually learning and just for some reason more aware of things that maybe make me feel really good and uplifted, and then things that leave me just feeling empty and drained. I want to feel good when I'm taking in all the media and using forms of entertainment. I don't want to feel negative. I don't want to feel tension or irritated or anxiety. What we take in, I think, ultimately becomes how we feel and what we do and who we are. We'll get to hear from Laraine right now. And my first question for you is, can you tell me a little bit more about your name?
Very uncommon. My first name is Laraine, and I've run into a few people in my life with that first name. It was very convenient because it wasn't such a different name that people said, what? But I usually was the only Laraine in any group, class, or whatever. And I was named after my mother's best friend.
What was life like back in the 60s?
Well, for me, that was a really pleasant time. I graduated from high school in '59, so that was my college years. I got my baccalaureate and then my master's, and through my young adult years, and they were very, very pleasant times. Yeah, it was a relatively carefree time. Most of I know you asked down here about the activities and things, yeah. But it was a time, I completed my education. I came to Denver, Colorado. Denver was a great place to be a single adult. Through all of the 60s, my social activities centered around, first the activities in college, and then around church and single adult groups. In Denver, for example, they had the Fish Bombers, which was the single ski club. They had the Fiddle Steppers, which was the single square dance group. Many of the churches had single adult groups. So I can remember thinking you had to stay home on Monday to wash your hair and do your laundry because there was something else going on almost every day of the week. Yeah, square dancing, volleyball, swimming, ski trips, camping trips, dining out, gatherings at people's homes for game nights. It was really a great time to be a single adult, particularly in Denver. I did them all, whatever the event of the day, evening, week was, I participated. And I think what I liked about it was the people, because it would be many of the same people in the various singles clubs, and you'd see them at this gathering or that gathering. I don't remember a lot of stress. I was working at a job that I liked and socializing with people that I enjoyed.
Do you have any favorite memories from the 60s?
Well, graduating with my master's. I remember Alan Shepard landing on the moon. Mostly enjoying the city, the mountains, the climate. Coming from the East Coast, it was a more casual atmosphere, and just good friends. The Colorado Mountain Club wasn't a singles group, but a lot of singles went on the hikes. Like, one of the fun things were the people who climbed the 14ers to stay in shape for skiing, or skied to stay in shape for climbing the 14ers. I never did 14ers. Okay. I did some of the lower hikes. I had a number of friends who climbed them all. I have friends that are in their 70s that are still doing it. Yeah, I got my master's in '66 from CU, but it was in maternal child health. I had originally wanted to go to midwifery school, but I didn't want to go back east, and there wasn't anything in the West that I could attend. So I did my master's in maternal child health, and then I did my midwifery in the 70s. When I started as a labor and delivery nurse, people were knocked out They were strapped down. Fathers were not allowed in the delivery room. There has been a lot of change over the course of my career. Family-centered birth, trying to provide the best birth experience for a couple to help them bond their family and feel good about their ability to parent. Just so many birth centers, a lot of change. I've always been in clinical practice, which is working with mothers and babies in pregnancy and women, but I've also always taught. And clinical practice made me a better teacher, and teaching and learning from my students made me a better practitioner. I really enjoyed that balance of being the teacher and the clinician. And we were also actively involved in our professional organization, and we are still serving on the foundation board for the American College of Nurse Midwives.
What was the style like back in the 60s? What did you wear?
Well, when I graduated from high school and in the early 60s, it was skirts, mid-calf. I had poodle skirts. I had saddle shoes. I had white bucks, sweater sets. I remember the petticoats really well. They came in handy when I was square dancing. Yeah, we had a 50th class reunion, and several of the girls in the class came with poodle skirts and petticoats and things like sock hops in the gym. You grew up in cold country, so you didn't go out much in the wintertime. You stayed in and on lunch breaks, and you did a lot of rock and roll dancing. One of my classmates was the DJ, and he's actually still DJing 50s and 60s music around northern New England. Well, American Bandstand was on. So you got to see those kids out of Philadelphia dancing all the time. But, everybody's in the gym. The good dancers would get out there and you'd see what they did. And then when your turn, you'd imitate them. Some were better than others. But, that didn't really matter. It was just getting out there, and it was exercise in the middle of the day at school, so you didn't fall asleep after lunch. The boys asked the girls to dance. Periodically, they'd call a Sadie Hawkins dance or Women's Choice, that kind of thing. So, most people got to dance. The other thing is the Catholic Church in town had same DJ, but had dances every Saturday night. Everybody just went. Most of the activity, I'd have to say through my high school years and college and those young adult years, many of the activities were church-based, church-sponsored, and they were group activities. It was a fun way to meet people.
What made you happy back in the 60s?
I remember feeling happy, laughing with my friends, being active, involved, doing things, feeling energized, enjoying the outdoors and the indoors and the camaraderie. I think I was probably as happy as I've ever been, in terms of feeling happy and not feeling a lot of weight and responsibilities. Well, I was lucky that I got my education and a job that I loved. And I never lacked for work in the area of my education. So, I love the work I did my whole career, and that's a biggie. If you go to work every day to a job that you love, the world is good. I do feel sorry for people who have to go to work every day to something that they hate. I never experienced that.
Were you ever scared, unhappy, or anxious back in the 60s?
Well, I look back and I don't remember being scared. I grew up in the 50s with bomb shelters, but it wasn't real. I can't remember in my childhood feeling scared. I took off and drove across the country by myself when I came to Colorado and just met nice people. I just always had good friends around. I can't honestly say that I've ever been truly scared. There are good days and there are bad days, and you deal with life stresses and that kind of thing, but not to the point of anxiety. I never experienced an anxiety disorder, and I'm a pretty upbeat person. I'm very fortunate. Really have been blessed my whole life.
How would you compare your childhood or teenage years to today's kids?
Night and day. Really. Working with adolescents, so much stress, so much anxiety, so much, the weight of the world on their shoulders, school shootings, drugs, kids drank when I was in high school, but not to the extent that I see dependence on drugs and alcohol in today's society, adults and kids. But I really think, I look at the teen suicide rate, I look at the homicide rate. I just feel that kids today are under an incredible amount of pressure. They, to get a good education, they're in incredible debt. My childhood was definitely, I grew up in a more peaceful time, in a small town, and with much less anxiety about the rest of the world. That's another thing. The troubles of the rest of the world are in our living room on our television every single day. I don't remember the world being such an unhappy place when I was growing up. Again, I think I grew up maybe in a special time, but certainly in a good time. So we had Howdy Doody, we had Ed Sullivan, we had Milton Berle, we had the Texaco Hour, Tom Corbett's Space Cadet. But then in high school, we had the American Bandstand.
How would you define happiness?
Well, for me, at this point in my life, it's living with my sister. I have a safe place to live. I've got transportation. I've got my health. I've been able to retire and travel some. I'm very involved with a lot of volunteer activity, which keeps me stimulated. Good books to read, good friends, learn to play mahjong. I'm in a book club with good people. I'm in a church group with good people. So it's the people in my life that make me happy.
Wasn't that amazing? She is such a sweetheart, and we didn't talk about it too much, but she is a midwife. And I guess is a retired midwife and now teaches midwifery in school and does a lot of service at this point in her life, which is super admirable. I love her love for Colorado and that area and how she found it to be a homey place. I found it to be a place that feels like home, even though I'm not from there. So with that, thanks for listening. Bye. Wait. You can't miss the embarrassing story of the week. No. Okay. It's that time. It's Steph with an F's embarrassing story of the week. Okay, well, this week's embarrassing story. Where to begin? Last week, I had a hard time thinking of embarrassing stories, and this week, I feel like I couldn't get away from them. The one that stands out the most is my lipstick issues. I think we started the Denim Couch podcast embarrassing stories with a lipstick fiasco. And gosh, I need to go into the makeup store and get new lipstick or something, or have someone coach me, because I wear lipstick every now and then, not that often, but if I want to feel really pretty, I put on lipstick. And so I have this matte kind, and I have a few other kinds. And one day, I think it was last Sunday, go into church, and I had put my lipstick on. I put it in the mirror. I even see it on myself. And we drive up to the church, and I lift the mirror to double check my face. And I have put the matte lipstick, which doesn't come off, on only part of my lips that doesn't the part that doesn't include the edge of my lips. So it was like a geisha with only partial lipstick on and not on the corners of my mouth. So since it's matte, I had to get the baby wipes out and just scrub it off my lips because there was no way I could go inside looking like that. And dig through the seats of the car to see if I had any other types of lip color that could disguise what I'd previously done. Luckily, I found something, put that on, and once again, put it on a little too strong. It was coming off across. I mean, it was similar to a clown. Went a little too high, a little too wide. So we went with it. And that was not the only day this happened. Man, it got really chunky and looked disgusting. And yeah, I have issues. So if anyone has tips, feel free to reach out to me. I can't seem to get it right.
If you came here for mental health help, please go visit your doctor. If you're looking for some mental health tips, Dr. Daniel Amen is someone I follow. I love what he has to say and offer. I think his website is brainhealthassessment.com, and he just has some awesome checklist items that go over brain health habits that you should be doing to have better brain health. I want to say there's like 5 to 10 items. And if you have those, if you're working on those habits and trying to improve them to improve your brain health, you'll also improve your happiness level, because brain health equals mental health. So keep your brains happy and healthy, and check out Dr. Daniel Amen. This is not sponsored. I just really like what he has to say, and I think it's really beneficial. I think it can help a lot of people. It's actually very matter of fact, kind of obvious, but yeah, we neglect so many of these habits daily. And I do feel like, if you're feeling unhappy, that may be one of the reasons you're unhappy, because you're neglecting your brain health, which is also your mental health. And yeah, trying to improve these habits could really help. So check him out. If you have any stories from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, please get in contact with me. Let's chat. I want nothing more than to chat about the past. I want nothing more than to chat about the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. If you have any specific questions that I'm not asking that you would like to know about these eras while interviewing these people, please let me know. I would love some advice, and I would love your input. So what would you guys like to know?